3 miles away from the chaotic scenes of last week's attack on the US Capitol, we're in northwest DC, one of the more affluent parts of the city. But even here, the food lines have grown as COVID-19 takes its deadly toll.
We are upwards of 2,400 to 3,000 people a week.
This centre has seen demand for food and clothes soar 300% since the pandemic began. Not just the local homeless, but households too, who can no longer afford to feed the family.
We have to focus on this pandemic. People are still dying, people are still getting sick, and families are suffering.
This place is a living example of what Joe Biden yesterday called America's crisis of deep human suffering, as he unveiled a near $2 trillion package to help a shattered country and economy get back on its feet.
The American Rescue Plan that will tackle the pandemic and get direct financial assistance and relief to Americans who need it the most.
The need couldn't be more urgent, like here in Los Angeles, where someone dies from COVID-19 every 6 minutes, as cases across America continue to soar. But is Joe Biden's plan eclipsed by the Democrats' other pressing priority, ridding America of Donald Trump?
And are you worried that the Democrats won't get that stimulus passed? Maybe you're spending too much time worried about impeaching Donald Trump.
They have to figure out how to bifurcate their thinking and do both.
And do you think they can?
Absolutely. They're going to have to. There's no choice.
But there's only one priority at the US Capitol ahead of next week's inauguration, and that's security. The citadel of democracy now resembling a militarized zone with threats of further violence to come.
Thank you for your service. Thank you for stepping forward.
And he's got a lot to thank them for, because Vice President Mike Pence was one of those being hunted down by a hardcore element of Trump's supporters as they ransacked the halls. Supporters who federal prosecutors today said had plans to capture and assassinate elected officials in the United States government.
And we're going to deliver to the American people a safe inauguration. We're going to swear in a new president, a new vice president. We're going to move our nation forward.
A safe inauguration, he says now, with 20,000 troops on the ground because his boss, Donald Trump, failed to accept the result of the election. But with just 5 days left in office, events, removal vans and reality have taken over. Donald Trump is on his way out, and America's next president is moving in.
Now, you should be able to see the empty stands in front of the Capitol, if they're not being blocked by one of the diggers here at the moment. They will, of course, be full of dignitaries, although not the Trump family, on Wednesday. But unusually, the authorities have actually told people to stay away from the inauguration, stay away from the Capitol. Such are the fears for security. Well, earlier I spoke to the Democratic Congresswoman from New York, Yvette Clarke, and I began by asking how she felt on January the 6th when the rioters entered Capitol Hill.
I was actually on Capitol Hill in my office at the time. What I can tell you is we felt, no matter where you were in the Capitol complex, under siege. And to see the footage that's coming out after the fact, after sheltering in place, after being terrorized, is truly alarming. It's very clear that there was a confluence of motivations that descended upon the U.S. Capitol, and the perpetrators of that came with varying degrees of intent around harming the lawmakers that were present on that day.
When you look at Washington, where I'm standing right now, Capitol Hill looks and feels more like the Green Zone once did in Baghdad, heavily fortified, 20,000 heavily armed National Guard troops protecting this place. I mean, what does that tell you about the state of American democracy right now?
Well, it says that we are actually in a battle to preserve our democracy. It's sad that Americans are not in agreement about the value, about the importance of maintaining and undergirding and strengthening our democracy.
But there are also millions of Americans who believe that this election was fraudulent, who stick by President Trump's extraordinary allegations. And you will now be in a position from next Wednesday where you control, as the Democrats, the White House and both houses of Congress. What will you do with that power to bring America together again?
Our responsibility in the days ahead is to ensure that every American is vaccinated and that we heal both physically, mentally, and spiritually from this very devastating and protracted experience that Americans and people worldwide are addressing right now.
But if dealing with COVID-19 is your absolute priority, understandably, why then distract from that business with the trial of Donald Trump in the Senate?
Well, I don't believe it's a distraction. This all goes back to the original premise of our democracy. And we can multitask. It's doable.
But it is a delay.
Do it all the time. I'm sorry?
It is a delay, though, of that. I mean, it will overshadow.
I don't know that it overshadows, because the work that we're doing around COVID-19 is work that has to be done in each and every corner of this nation. Life has been disrupted. And so I think immediately what people are focused on is beating back the COVID-19 crisis. Now, in Washington, D.C., lawmakers have a job to do. I don't see the trial of Donald Trump as a distraction. I see it as a necessary process by which, one, we debunk the big lie, which was what he used to ignite the insurrection that we experienced last Wednesday. We have to set the record straight there, but we also have to hold Donald Trump accountable for what took place. We hold every American accountable for digressions, and he is no different.
Congresswoman Clark, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you for having me, Matt.